Hey, hey, hey. You already know what day it is. It's Tuesday Tea with D.A. Tuesday Tea with D.A. Tuesday Tea with D.A. Tuesday Tea with D.A. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Yes, it is Tuesday. It is time for tea, your message of tea, Tuesday tea with D. It's your girl, Detra Trueheart, your life purpose generator, purpose provoker, and iSpeaklife mentor. Here with another weekly message, some weekly tea to help you get out of your own way so that you can stop settling and show up for yourself in the same way that you show up for others. Because, honey, listen, it's time for you to give you what you've been giving everybody else. So, before we jump into today's message, which is called Know Your Pace, I wanted to share with you today I am drinking a really, really, really good tea. This tea is called Cedar House Blend Herbal Tea. You see that? Can you see that there? And it's so good. It's got apple, hibiscus, and cinnamon in it. It says perfectly represents it's Cider House, not Cedar House. I have Cider House. Cider's iconic autonomous profile of juicy, tangy, and naturally sweet. You can sip it hot or cold. And let me just tell you, it smells good, child. It smells like kind of like apple cider, warm apple cider, but the tea, oh God. This was when I purchased this. See, this is a limited time offer tea. This is a seasonal tea. And so I may have to go to the website and get a little bit more of this before the season is up because I'm gonna drink more of this. Can I just tell you, Johnny honey, because listen. Ooh. Let me just get another sip here. Hold on. All right. Let's get to the business at hand. So today's conversation actually is brought to you and kind of inspired by a couple weeks ago. Many of you know, I took my son to Disney for his birthday, and we went to Magic Kingdom and Universal Studios. And one of the things that I recognized when we got there, like Brother Man was not down for the roller coasters. Okay. And so we had gotten on the rides. We started out with Universal Studios one day, and then we did Magic Kingdom another day. And so we did the rides at Universal Studio. And then by the time we got to Magic Kingdom, we were riding the rides, but there were like some roller coasters where my little person was like, I'm not doing it. And so I want to say we had ridden a few rides. And by the evening time, we ended up going back and really being able to ride most of the rides that we weren't able to ride during the day, simply because there weren't as many people there. And so there was one specific roller coaster. We rode one at the very beginning. We both were screaming, child. We was like, ah! And he was like, Mom, that was really fun. He was like, I was a little scared. I don't know. And so by the time we got to, there was a couple of smaller ones that he really wanted to do that he really, really enjoyed. There was even one, I think, at Universal Studios that he enjoyed. And I started to watch him towards the evening where he literally was progressing. And so he did like the big one, but he was still like a little hesitant. And so we got on the smaller one. He gets on, I get on with him. And then the second time, he's like, I want to do it by myself. And I said, you sure? I'm like, I can go with you. You want me to go? He's like, no, I got it. I said, okay, well, I'll stay right here. He rides it twice. So by this time, he's amped up. His confidence has picked up. Where he's like, boom, I got this. And so there are a couple other rides that we rode, and then there was another roller coaster that we rode. And by that time, he was like, Mom, like by the time I got to this one, like when we rode it the first time, I was kind of scared, but by the second time, and then riding those other ones, like I think I can probably do more roller coasters. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I started to notice that for him in particular, he knew his pace, right? He was not letting me or anybody else guilt trip him or force him into doing anything that he was not ready for. How many of us have done that, right? Where you don't know your pace, you don't know, how quickly or how slowly you need to move into a thing. You might actually be the one who just cannonballs into the deep end and you figure it out once you're in the water, like, oh, wait, what did I do? But I could figure it out from here. My little person is not that person, right? It takes him, and I've noticed this, and I've been noticing it, but I really noticed it with the roller coasters, and it really kind of just confirmed who he is, right? He really is a methodological kind of person. Like, he's not just going to jump all the way in, he's going to think this thing through. And I think it's important because it told me that all of us are different in what it is that we're seeking to do and how we approach it. But it's important for us to pay attention to the pattern. If you've been with me at any particular time, you know that I teach paying attention to the pattern, where it's paying attention to the pattern of people, paying attention to the pattern of your pain, paying attention to the pattern even of your healing, paying attention to the pattern of how you do a thing. Like, just pay attention to the pattern. Like, sometimes even in my coaching, and I teach this specifically, this specific conversation happens in one of the modules of my Push into Purpose group accelerator. But even as it relates to one-on-one coaching, if I'm listening to a client and I'm listening, and it may not hit the first time, but I'm listening and paying attention, by the second or the third call or session that we're in, I might say, okay, so you just said this, but I remember in session 2 and 3, or I remember in sessions 1 and 3, you said this or this happened. Did you notice that that's a pattern? Have you noticed the pattern that's happening here? And the person will normally say, I didn't even notice it. Why am I saying that? Because I think it's important for us to be able to be self-aware of noticing how we move in certain aspects, right? One of the things that I know about my son is that when he's ready, he's ready. You're not going to be able to force him. You're not going to be able to coerce him. It's just not happening. He's not doing it. He don't care, child. I remember when we were trying to potty train him, and we were trying, they say, you can get him potty trained sometime between 1.5 years and 2. Child, he wasn't having it. He was like, nope. By 2.5, child, it like clicked. It was a no-brainer. I remember I breastfed him. I remember when we were at the point of where I was thinking about weaning him. I didn't even have any issues with weaning him. It was literally like 1 minute he was on the breast, and then the next minute he wanted a sippy cup. And so I noticed that pattern about him, and I was noticing how he paced himself with the roller coaster, and recognizing, like, I'm going to start down here and I'm going to work my way up. My question to you is do you know your pace? Do you know how you move? Do you know what you need in order to show up at your highest capacity? Or are you watching other people, comparing, looking at how they're doing something, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe I should try it that way, knowing that that's not your pace? There's a saying that they say, like, your race, your pace, right? And so you've got to be able to know your pace on your race. It's important for you to be able to not have to worry about looking at what other people are doing, because the reality is that's not the pace that you need to be going at. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to, stagnate your progress. I'm not telling you that you need to stay in a comfort zone longer than is necessary. I'm not telling you that that you don't need to be moving a little bit quicker in certain areas because you're procrastinating, right? You're avoiding. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when you understand how you move, then it makes it easier for you to move, right? But when you're trying to compare, okay, well, they're moving this way and they're moving that way, and maybe I should try that, when that's not your rhythm, then that's why you get stuck. That's why you avoid. That's why you're stagnant. That's why you can't figure out why your rhythm isn't rhythmic, right? And so, what is your pace? Do you know your pace? Do you know how you move? Are you paying attention to the patterns of your movements, of your rhythm, of your routine, how you make decisions, how you connect with people? All of those things matter. And so last week when we talked about starting over for you could be, okay, let me go back to the basics of figuring out what my rhythm is, what my pace is, how I move in this space, so that I don't get caught out here listening to somebody tell me that I can do a cannonball in the water in the deep end, when I know I need to ease in at the shallow end. Doesn't mean that I'm not that I'm going to stay here and I'm going to get so comfortable here that I'm not going to move. It just means that I need to ease in a little bit. So hopefully that helped you. Hopefully you'll be able to take a little bit something from that. And if you need some support, I want to be able to support you, whether it's through my Push Into Purpose group accelerator. And depending upon when you're watching it, it might be over. We start this Thursday. So if you're watching it, over the next couple of days and you want in, I'll put this up here so that you can look at the information. You can go to trueheartspeaks.com/PN2P. We'll spend the next 8 weeks together, 4 weeks of live training and 4 weeks of group coaching around facing your fears, really identifying where you're stuck and how to get unstuck, breaking free from stuck, fixing your focus, and owning your healing. And we're doing some deep diving. This is probably one of the more thorough programs that I offer, where it's heavy lifting, because on the other side of it, you need to be able to walk confidently and clearly into the space that you're supposed to be walking into. And so if that's something that you believe that you're called to, I want you to go to that. But if you feel like you want to have conversation with me around coaching, I'm going to put this up so that you can book a call with me at trueheartspeaks.com trueheartspeaks.as.me/get unstuck. And we can have a conversation around private coaching and what that might look like, and where we can maybe even spend some time figuring out what your pace is, right? Paying attention to the patterns of how you move and even how other people move, because that's important as well, right? Sometimes you'll miss the patterns of how people move because you're so caught up in either what they're doing or what they're not doing. And sometimes if you start paying attention to the pattern, right, and the pace of other people, you'll start to recognize that y'all are not in alignment. That was a word for somebody, okay? So with that being said, my prayer is that you got something out of today's conversation. My prayer is that you would take some time to recognize what your pace is. How do you move? Do you move quick? Do you move slow? Are you an analytical? Are you one of those who, you kind of think about it after the fact, and that may be something that you may have to readjust to say, okay, I can't keep doing that. But it's important for you to know your pace, because when I was watching my son, I said I could see the progression. And the crazy part about it is in his progression, his confidence built. It was building and it grew. And so for some of you, you're wondering, why can't I I want to feel more confident about a thing. You might have to ease into it, but you won't pay attention to that and know that if you don't know your pace. Because what you might be doing is trying to go according to somebody else's pace as opposed to your own. So with that being said, this is the tea for today's Tuesday Tea with D. And my prayer is that you got something out of it. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you share this with someone that you know who you believe needs to hear it, or just you want to be a blessing to somebody. Say, hey, you need to listen to this, right? I think it'll be good for you. But also make sure you're following me on all social media platforms, just in case, child, one of them shut down. You can find me somewhere else. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm actually even on Pinterest, even though I haven't really started promoting business-wise, but I'm going to. I'm on Twitter as well. And then also, I want you to make sure, if you are not a part of my email list and you're not a part of my text community, you do that as well. And I will be sure to share that in the comments or in the description of this video, so that you have access to all of the things that I have shared today. And most importantly, I just want you to take some time to pay attention to and to get to know your pace, so that as you are moving and as you are progressing and as you are up leveling, you know your rhythm and you know your routine. So have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you next time on the next Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Hey!